Hello and welcome back to the Cisco Learning Network podcast. In this episode, we are going to continue our conversation with Yusuf Bhaiji, Senior Manager of Global Certifications at Cisco. In the first part of this two-part interview, Yusuf described at a high level the recent changes to the Cisco Certification program on whole. In part 2, we delve into the changes to the CCNA program with Yusuf. If you haven't listened to part 1 of this podcast yet, you might consider going back and listening to that first, as Yusuf does a great job of setting the stage for the specifics of this next podcast. But either way, let's listen into the second part of this interview between Cisco Learning Network Community Manager Brett Lovins and Yusuf Bhaiji as they talk about the associate level certification changes that go into effect in February 2020. Here's Brett.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Lovins. I'm a community manager here on the Cisco Learning Network. If you're listening to this second podcast, hopefully you've checked out the first podcast. And if you haven't, maybe go check out our high-level program podcast as well, that we have the same wonderful individual, Yusuf, is tuning in to talk about the Cisco Certification program. And for those that are only listening to this one, Yusuf, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and your role with certifications?
All right. Thank you, Brad. Thank you for having me. My name is Yusuf Bhaiji. I'm the Senior Manager for Global Certifications Program. My team is responsible for the design, development, and delivery of the certification portfolio, everything from the associate level, professional level, expert level program. So all the stuff from CCNA to CCNP to CCI. So I'm very excited to be here and to share all the details and changes that is part of this certification evolution. It's an exciting time, so thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to hope that folks have already listened to the first podcast. So just suffice to say, if you haven't, go back and listen to it. But we're going to move right into the CCNA part of the certification changes, which is a fairly, a lot of folks are touched by CCNAs and have for years, Yusuf. So let's give you the opportunity to speak a little bit about why we've changed the CCNA program a bit, and maybe speak to some of the specifics of what to expect when we make this change in, I guess it's in February.
Right. Valid point. And that's very important because CCNA program is dramatically changing from the perception or how we have kind of structured it. So first thing first, let me level set. Today, as you all know, we have approximately 10 or 11 CCNA certification programs. So CCNA Route Switch, CCNA Security, CCNA Data Center, and so on. Let's say we call them flavors, right? So there are lots of different choices and flavors at the CCNA level. So what we've done our research and kind of, all the homework is that what is the actual target audience and the value for the CCNA program? And in my opinion, the main objective of the certification of the CCNA, which is our kind of the entry-level associate certification, is to focus on people who are starting their career in networking. They are entering in this new industry called networking. They may be fresh graduates, they may be coming from a different industry, they may be either a software developer, they may be even in IT industry in anywhere, either software developer or something else, or they could be even from non-IT. I know many of my friends and colleagues who have come from a non-IT profession. So for example, they come from a marketing background or a sales background or a finance background, and they jump into the IT industry and they start with the CCNA certification. So considering all that, we did a lot of extensive research on what are the different job roles and what are the expectations of the engineer that is pursuing in that job role. So CCNA is primarily, in our mind, focusing on that junior level person, the junior level administrator who's starting in a networking career or a networking function. So it could be anywhere from 0 to 2 years of experience. You could be as new as fresh, or you could be 1 year into the industry or 2 years into the industry. So the main goal, objective of the CCNA certification is to give you that fundamental knowledge of all the different components of networking, and for you to understand that what does it mean by networking? What are the different structural components of the networking? Today, we feel that there was kind of a big breadth in the sense of different flavors, but now we want to kind of concise it and make it convenient for the community that we start with one. So what the big change is, it's going into a single exam, one exam. There is no more flavors. We're retiring all the different CCNA flavors. So starting February, the new CCNA portfolio will be a single exam which is primarily going to focus on the fundamentals of the networking. So there are 4 or 5 important areas that we will focus in this new CCNA. So the first one is, of course, the IP fundamentals. What do you know about the basic IP foundation? Then what is network access? How do you connect to the network? IP connectivity, meaning the basics of routing and switching. Automation is a big part of the industry moving forward, so we want to give fundamentals of automation and what does it mean. And then obviously security is pervasive, that the security is an integral part of every network, so we want to also make sure that you have the foundation for security. So these are the core elements that will make up the new CCNA program.
So Yusuf, when people are listening to this, at the time you're listening to this, if this is playing in your headphones right now, it means that these certification and exam topics pages are available. So you can go home right now or get your computer up and print them out and have a look. And you can square me around on this, Yusuf, but one of the things that I've noticed looking at the two, the comparison from, say for CCNA route switch versus the new CCNA, is that it looks like we've taken, and you mentioned automation and security, and so from the employer perspective, if they're hiring a CCNA to come into their program or they're, getting one of their employees CCNA certified, they know that they're going to know route and switch stuff, but they're also going to know some of the security and automation stuff that wasn't in the original CCNA route switch program.
Absolutely. And that's what the goal was, that in addition to the core knowledge or the core elements of the networking, which, like you said, is routing and switching, that makes up the fundamental of routing infrastructure of the network, what were the 2 or 3 additional important topics? And in my mind, automation and security was very important, because regardless of which way you go in your career, whether you want to become a collaboration expert or a security expert or a data center guy or a voice guy, you will need to know about automation and security, because it's an integral part of every technology. So like I said, at the CCNA level, we are removing flavors that we are not asking you to go and take different flavors, but consolidating into a single program. And then as you progress in your career in the CCNP level or the CCIE level, then of course you will have all sorts of choices in CCNP and CCIE hierarchy, and there will be more deeper focus on the automation and security. But at the foundation level, we are capturing those core elements at the associate level within that single exam format. So there's no choices at the CCNA level. It's a single exam.
Beautiful. So, I'll just ask the question that I know a lot of people will be asking right away is, let's say you've already got a CCNA service provider or CCNA security. Are all of those old flavors then going to disappear, or what happens to those folks that have, say, recertified year after year? What will their standing be?
Right. So that's a good question. I mean, what we say is we are going to definitely provide a transition, a migration to everyone who's currently certified. So there are 2 camps here. There is people who are already certified, and then there are people who are in flight, who are pursuing, who could be halfway through, because today the current CCNA is primarily a 2-exam model, right? So you could have potentially finished 1 exam and you're still working on your 2nd exam. So for those people, I will encourage that please complete your journey. You still have 9 months, and we were going to talk about the timelines. So as you are listening to this podcast, the new cutover date is February 24, 2020. So next calendar year in 2020 will be the new exam availability. So until then, you are still good to go and complete your CCNA journey, whichever CCNA you were pursuing, whether CCNA route switch, CCNA security, or CCNA data center. But once you are completed and once you are finished, we will migrate you to the new home. So what we will do is we are going to provide you the new CCNA certification badge, right? And you will also get another badge, which is kind of a learning badge, a training badge, which is equivalent to your technology area. The other important data point is we are not going to kill or take away anything that you already have. So if you have a CCNA security today, or a CCNA data center, or CCNA routing and switching, your certification is alive and active until it organically expires. So every certification has an expiration date today, right? So let's say 1 year ago or 6 months ago you obtained your CCNA route switch, it's valid for 3 years. So you still keep the certification that you have. We will migrate you to the new CCNA when we cut over in February. So basically, you can still continue to maintain your recertification and whatever you've achieved so far.
Awesome. Yusuf, why don't you speak a little bit about continuing education for the CCNA candidate, which was typically that terminology was only for CCIE. So this is different. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's another exciting change happening at the CCNA program level, that we are now introducing the continuing education option or a choice at the CCNA level. So today, currently, we only have that option for the CCIE program, but now that program is going to be available for CCNA and CCNP. So continuing education basically is an alternative medium, alternative mechanism to recertify your CCNA program. So you have a choice. Either you can take an exam to recertify, which was already available today, but in addition to that, you have a choice that you can either take some sort of training and get some continuing education credits for it. You can attend Cisco Live and get some credits for it. You can contribute to our exam authoring process and get credits for it. And you accumulate credits enough to recertify as an alternative to your exam. So that's the flexibility that we are providing to the community, that you don't necessarily need to take exam only. You have a choice. You can still continue to take exams, but there is a choice in continuing education program. So please look out for the website and the program policy page about the continuing education program.
Great, and I'll just use that opportunity to give you guys a URL to go check out, which is our landing page for all Cisco certifications, which will get you to these things, and that's cisco.com/go/next level. Next level is one word, no dash, so go/next level. Or just come to the Cisco Learning Network, ciscolearningnetwork.com, and we will have everything that we're talking about with diagrams, links, everything. So please come and learn more about the changes to the CCNA program. Yusuf, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm sure it's helping a lot of people. Appreciate you coming and doing this with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That's it for the second part of our interview with Yusuf. To learn more about the new certification and training portfolio, please visit the Cisco Learning Network, where you will find more resources explaining the changes and a community network ready to support you and answer your questions. We plan to talk with Yusuf and other experts more in future episodes, so please subscribe to our podcast so you'll know when they become available. And if you could take a minute to leave us a review on iTunes, we'd appreciate it. Thanks for listening.